Have you ever been told your crooked teeth are just genetics? Or that your facial asymmetries are fixed and simply part of who you are? What if that's not the full story? Today we're going to talk about cranial distortions, how subtle shifts in the structure of your skull can affect the way you bite, breathe, and even how your face looks. And once you understand this, you will never look at facial asymmetries the same way again. I am Juliet and I will explain all of this for you. When we think of bite problems, we usually imagine teeth. But the truth is, teeth are just the tip of the iceberg. What sits beneath is your cranial base, the structure made up of key bones like the sphenoid and the occipital. These bones form an internal joint called the sphenobasilar symphysis, and this joint literally shapes your posture, face, and jaw alignment. In osteopathy, we say the skull breathes. It has subtle movements like flexion and extension, and when these movements get stuck or distorted, the entire facial structure above them follows. Cranial distortions are classified into 7 main types, and they fall into 2 categories: physiological and non-physiological. Let's break that down for a moment. Physiological distortions are based on natural movements of the cranial bones, things your skull is supposed to do. But when those movements become stuck, exaggerated, or locked into one position, they can start to affect the whole body, including your bite, your posture, and the shape of your face. There are 4 of those: hyperflexion, hyperextension, side bending rotation, and torsion. Then we have the non-physiological distortions. These don't have any useful purpose and reflect normal tension patterns and trauma, and are typically more restrictive and harder on the body. This includes lateral strain, vertical strain, and compression strain. Now let's walk through each one briefly so you can start to recognize them. First, this is when the skull gets stuck in the expansion phase. People with this pattern often have a flat or wide head, and issues like headaches, lower back pain, and even myopia. The palate often flattens, which affects how the tongue rests and how the face develops. Second, hyperextension. The opposite happens. The skull is stuck in the compression phase. It often results in a high arched palate, tightness of the back of the neck, and postural issues that extend all the way down to the spine. Vision problems like hyperopia may also show up. Third, side bending rotation, or SBR for short. This distortion involves 2 axes. One side of the skull rotates downward and inward, and the other lifts up and out. The result? One side of the face looks wider and the other narrower. The eyes aren't level, and the midline of the tooth may be off, and you might even notice facial tension or clenching more on one side. Fourth, torsion. Torsion is a twisting motion. The sphenoid and occipital bones rotate in opposite directions. This result is often a jawline that's tilted while the eyes remain at level. It's subtle, but it changes how the light hits the face and the symmetry is perceived. Lateral strain. The bones shift sideways in the same direction, like a slide. This can create a sense of the entire head being off-center, and it usually reflects on the bite and chewing function too. Vertical strain. The distortion moves the skull vertically, either upward or downward. If it's upward, we often see underbite tendencies, and if it's downward, an overbite becomes more likely. These people may also have breathing or airway issues due to the position of the jaw and palate. Compression strain. Compression is the most restrictive pattern. The skull's movement is blocked in all directions. It often results from birth trauma or head injuries, and people with this strain may feel constant tension, fatigue, or emotional overwhelm. The face can become round and compressed appearance. And if you ask, yes, these patterns can be combined. The most common combination is a side bending rotation combined with a vertical strain. These are more often the most visible distortions and the most misunderstood. Now, there's why all of this matters. If we only focus on teeth or soft tissues, we miss the structural root of the issue. Trying to align the bite without addressing the skull's foundation is like building a house on uneven ground. And even a visit to a skilled osteopath might only bring short-term relief. Because if the bite isn't addressed together with the cranial structure, it tends to pull things back to where they were. That's why a combined approach is essential. Now that you have seen the deeper mechanics behind bite and asymmetry, we're going to have some videos. We will show you how these distortion patterns show up in real people, including some familiar faces, and how you can start identifying them in yourself. So keep up with the next videos to see all of this content. Understanding your own asymmetries is the first step toward change. I am Juliet and I will explain all of these topics. And if you're wondering what you can actually do about it, go watch your previous video on face pulling techniques. It's a system of gentle osteopathy-based exercises that can help you start working with your cranial structure from the inside out. That's where transformation begins. So like and subscribe and don't miss what's coming next. We are just getting started. Thanks for watching, and remember that the course for fixing all of what we explained is in the description or in the link of the bio of the Instagram account mewing.world. You can also consult more information and transformations there.